My name is Semaj. I served in the Army, and I was in Vietnam. I remember it like yesterday. We were walking on this trail. The sergeant was in back of me, and I stopped because the radio strap was cutting into my chest. So I said, well, let me just stop to adjust this. So the line can't stop. Everything keeps moving. So they passed around me. They kept moving. There was a large explosion, and he stepped on an anti-personnel line, which to date, I was never really a religious person, but at that moment, I knew that there had to be a higher force working, because if I hadn't stopped to adjust the strap, I would have stepped on the mine. I got home, ironically, it's crazy, on the 4th of July, which is not the best time to come home, because you got firecrackers and stuff going on. It took me about a month or so. I stayed in the house a lot during that time. A lot of self-medication, vis-a-vis marijuana for the guys my age, that was the drug of choice. I had a difficult time. I had a very difficult time adjusting. And then I had to report back because I still had a year of military time to complete. The transition for me from there to coming home and then to being back assigned to Brooklyn, the drug thing was still prevalent. The marijuana stuff was still prevalent. That was still there as my source of coping. I was 22 when I got married, and my wife was 20. And we were clear after the divorce. We stayed together for 3 years. We weren't really connecting. Wife number 2, again, it seemed like all of these relationships weaved in and out of drugs and getting high or what have you. And she got pregnant, we lost a baby, so that was very traumatic. Then we had another child who survived. For me, having a baby was a sobering event. It was real. It was real. This is not like something making up now. This is real. I had a very close friend of mine who I grew up with. And interestingly enough, he became a veterans rep. Okay. He said, you need to look about maybe go back to school, see if you can get some skills. But more so, you need to look at talking to somebody in the VA. Basically, they said, well, you're definitely dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder. They said you need to start coming in and meeting with a therapist, psychologist, and start getting some help, some counseling, some coaching, some support. I would get to what they call like a breakthrough, and I would pull away, and stop going. And then something would happen, and I'd go back. I'd started doing groups. I started doing one-on-one counseling. So I'm having a pretty good time. I'm saying, like, okay, I'm making another turn now. On top of that, I got introduced to this woman, wonderful woman, by the way, who I'm still married to. She was very, very, very instrumental in supporting me, and I got into a couple of groups, and then after going around the block a few times, got reintegrated back into the VA and started going to them on a regular basis. You can't do it by yourself. It's not, you can't live in a cave. And I tried that. I really did. I tried to be alone, be a loner, and let it, and just like the world is out there and I'm in here and I'm cool. And that was the self-medication. That's not going to do it. Because then you end up, you go through your whole life and you look back and you say, damn, like, where did 40 years go? Where did 50 years go? And now what do I have to show for my life? Because I think those veterans, those Vietnam veterans, could be very helpful to our present young men and women. They need to find a place, a space where they can find some release and move forward in their lives.